If you want to see how I create my base makeup for most of my videos, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène, and as I teased, we are going to do the very base makeup for a series of videos actually I'm going to film today. And this is me with my bare face. All I have done is used some skincare so far. And what I was going to do with you today is do all of my base. So base for my face, base for my eyes, eyebrows, and the result of all that is the usual base makeup that you will see on my face when I am ready to do an eye look. So what I'm going to show you is what I have been using very recently, but where there are some unusual products, I'll show you what it is that I usually use so that you have a sense of what my typical routine is. I hope that makes sense. Now I have done my skincare and I do want to let you know what is on my face. And I'm so good at putting stuff away. I put one of the products away. I used the Pixi Glow Tonic as my first item this morning, and it is usually a tonic I use in the morning. That was followed by a serum and a moisturizer. And what I'm using right now is I'm testing out this Aveeno Positively Radiant MaxGlow. And though it's a deluxe sample, I only use 2 drops per day. And you can see that this is going to last me a very long time. I have a ton of product in here. It's a total of 5 ml, but it will last me literally for weeks. And because I have a serum in the morning, I am okay to use up this cream that I'm not a huge fan of because I have very dry skin. But right now, coconut water cream is good in the summertime. So because I'm using a serum and it's summertime and my skin gets a little bit more oily, I'm okay to use a water cream. But in the winter, this is a big no-no for me. And it's feeling pretty good. And a final product that I have that is a cream is this Rodial Venom eye cream. And I am almost done. For anybody who's been waiting for my Rodial, I have to check on the pronunciation of that one because I'm not sure if, I think it's Rodial, but I will make sure I know for that video. I have just a tiny bit left in the bottom. And so I really wanted to finish all of my Rodial products before I went and did the finale video on this family of skincare products. So yeah, it's coming up. If you've been so patient, it is coming up. But when it comes to skincare, if I'm going to do a review for you, I can't use it just for a few weeks. And I think that everybody can understand that, well, folks who really care about what I think about the skincare will understand 2, 3, 4 months I might be using that same product. But it also speaks to the amount of use you can get out of one container, which I also think is a pretty good thing. So I have been using this eye cream since I opened it, and so it's been quite a long time. I'll have to look back in all my notes. I always write down every day what I use, exactly how many weeks. It's been a long time. At this point, I'm rambling, so let's get into the rest of what I'm going to do today. Right now, I am trying out the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter primer. So that is what I'm going to use as my primer today. I have a brand new focus right now on Fenty Beauty. If you want to see the intro to it, I'll put it right there. And I just put it in my hands and try to spread it evenly on my face. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I have nothing else on my face other than a little bit of residual of a lip balm from Joe Fresh. I usually have that on in the morning, in the evening when I don't have other lip products on. It's very, I find it anyway, really, really soothing. And it will be in my empties this month if you want to see what it looks like. Spoiler alert. Now we have the primer on, and I want to show you what I would usually use on my face, but I'm going to use a different product today, and I'll explain why. So usually, and yes, I use these little clips. Usually I would be going for the Argan Wear from Physicians Formula, and I use it in light medium. obviously. And I also use, now this is not Cover FX. This is the container I'm using that houses the Annabelle highlighter in Aurora. I really, really like it. That's all that I have left is right here. And I usually mix the two. But right now, because of my Partners in Cream project, I'll put the latest one right there, I discovered, I figured I could probably do this, and it does work. I am using this concealer color as my base all over my skin, and if I need to deepen it up a little bit, I use this number 4. So number 3 is what I'm concentrating on, and I do tend to use number 1 and the highlighter number 2. So that is what you're going to see me put on my face this today. In my case, it's around noon at this point. I know, I was doing other stuff. And so I just put 2 fingers in it, and I just put a couple of race stripes on my face, and you'll see that I have some discoloration here and there, although I have to say that some Neutrogena retinol products do help with that. And then with 2 fingers around my nose, because I have a lot of veins around that area, and then also just in the corner of my eyes, and I also use it on my lids as my eye primer. Which I do set, so you will see that later. Okay, so I'm going to use my 2 fingers now. I have so much stuff out on my counter ready so that I'm not wasting your time going from product to product. Now I do this white base first because I end up covering some of it up with the number 3, I guess, that I've got all over. Okay, so this I'll do last. I'm just going to rub into my skin those couple of stripes, and I will need some more, but that was a start. I just blend it up into the white concealer. And I'd never want to start with too much. I can always add. But as you can see, it does not take away all of the discoloration I have on my face, and that's okay. I don't need to go super full coverage, and it's actually a preference of mine not to. So I'm quite happy with the amount of coverage this has been giving me so far. And if anything, I'm really happy that I can use the contouring cream, because I have been worried that this product was going to go bad on me because it's 3 years old. And it's a big part of why it's in the Partners in Cream project, is I'm really trying to use it up. And I have some like flakiness around my nose right now because of the mask I'm wearing. Flakiness or like around my nose and around here. And I don't think it's been showing up too much on camera, but it is a concern. And it does impact how much base makeup I wear on a daily basis. If I'm not, because I will look really washed out if I don't have any sort of foundation on and bronzer on, that kind of thing on camera. But in real life, it's not as bad. And given I train people a lot, they are not expecting full glam. They do expect me to have a polished look, but they're definitely not expecting a personal trainer to have full coverage, flawless foundation. It actually kind of would distract from what I'm trying to do with them. So for that, I am grateful. I always, 90% of the time though, I do have eyeshadow on. Okay. Just going to come up close and check. And I do like to use my hands. For some people, it drives you crazy, but that's the way I do my makeup. I'm not going to change what I'm doing. If you want to see what it is that I do, you're seeing exactly what it is that I do. All right, so now the next thing is I want to do some blush. And I am going to use this NARS Dolce Vita blush. And I am not going to use, I have to shake it. I'm not going to use the pump. When I tried to, I attempted to use it. This is what the pump looks like. And it was a big mess and dispensed 3 times what it is that I need to use. So I'm very good to use the method that I was using before, which is to use the bottom as the dropper. And that way I can use exactly what it is that I need. And actually that's even too much. There we go. Just flicked a little bit out on the sink. So 1 pump is about 4 times what I need for this blush, which is insane. So all I do is dot, dot, dot on each side. And then I use my 2 fingers, actually I guess 3 fingers, to just blot it out and spread it around. Just patting motions, nothing fancy. And other side. Just find patting motions are better than dragging, so that's what I've been doing. Hopefully that's relatively even. Okay, speck there. All right, going back into this quad, I'm going to go into the highlighter right there. Hopefully you can see the color. It's Moonlight. It's very, very pretty as a Cover FX highlighter. I almost actually bought the powder one by accident. It ended up being 50% off on Sephora. And when I realized I got it, I did not touch it. I saw the color and I went, oh my goodness, I have this in a cream highlighter. So I ended up returning it. But now when I think about it, I kind of wish I had kept it. Because I think that the cream version is a good base to put the powder on. But I mean, you saw how much there is in there. I'm not going to run out of that highlighter anytime soon. And it doesn't really make sense for me to own 2 of the same one. I mean, I've got, I think, 5 highlighters I have yet to use. I don't need more. I don't need more. And 2 palettes. So I've got a lot of makeup trying to do. Okay, so I think that we have all of it done. I am not going to go into the deep contour today. I'm going to be using a bronzer, so that is going to be fine. Okay, I had to move the camera back to get to my Covergirl powder. It's called Loose Powder Translucent Fair 105. And it looks like this. And I just put a little bit in the cap. And try not to spill it all over my pants. As you can appreciate, I'm not usually in front of the camera when I do this. Okay, and using my brush, tapping right into the container, and going to powder a little bit. Oof. And we'll go in with powdered products after I'm done, essentially setting that concealer that I was using and the other cream products that I have on. And the brush I was using is a Quo brush. It was a set of 5 brushes and it's a magnetic base. And I don't think this one has a name at all. It was a Christmas set and I'm quite happy with the brushes. They're very, very soft. So far, all of the Quo brushes that I've used, I have enjoyed. Now I'm going to use this Sephora mini Pro 55.5 to go under my eyes because it's a little bit of a softer brush, meaning that the bristles are not as tightly packed. And I find that I don't put as much powder under my eye with it, which is a good thing because I don't want to have a bunch of dryness under my eye. And I just put a little extra around my nose so that I can get into the edge on both sides. Okay, I was going to call this cream powder done. Put it back in and close it. And I'm not a huge fan of this powder. It's powder I have. I'm trying to use a bunch of it. So it's my default unless I have some super special occasion where I want a different powder. Next, let's go with the bronzer. Usually I would use my butter bronzer, but I am trying out a new bronzer. And it is this Marcel bronzer, and it is called the Heat Wave. And it is a beautiful, huge bronzer. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And so depending on the area of my face that I'm bronzing, I can go toward the lighter, toward the darker, and I'm really enjoying that. And it's got a lot. 16.8 grams. So it's got a significant amount of product. And then Physician's Formula is 11 grams. So it's got 5 extra grams in here. Just putting my brush, in this case, right in the middle. Just going to go along the hairline at the top. And now that I'm going to my cheeks, I'm going to go into this area where it's a bit deeper. And look at the mirror on this thing. It's huge. It's awesome. Okay, so on the cheeks. Covering up a little bit of the Dolce Vita from NARS. But that's okay. It still shows through quite nicely, I think. And then I go into this contour brush from Smashbox that comes with the contour kit, the 3-pan contour kit. And it is called, the name is Brush. Okay, I'm going to call it a contouring brush. And all I'm going to do with this brush is contour around my nose and just under my lip. So I'm going to go to the higher end of the palette here. And just along the side of my nose on both sides. So not a whole lot of contouring, just a bit. And then underneath, which is it's a pretty cool brown, and so I can use it just under my lip. I don't have a whole lot of volume on my lips, so I like to give that little effect that I have a little bit more than I do. Okay, I think we're doing well. The only thing that we need to do still is I need to set the primer that I put on my eyes. And I'm going to set it with a color in my Pan That palette, and it is the color Wheat. This is the one I'm going to be using. And I'm just trying to cover up the Cover FX concealer. I don't go straight up to the brow bone because it is kind of, I have a lash on my nose. It is kind of beige, so it does give me color on my eyelid. But yeah, I don't go all the way up. It's a fluffy, oof, I poked my eye. It's a fluffy brush, so it does look like it's going up high, but the bristles aren't actually touching the brow at all. I got the brush in my eye. That never happens. The camera is a distraction. And I'm also usually at the sink when I do this, as opposed to, well, sink, my vanity, which is behind you. Just a bit more. Okay, so we have the base done for the most part. What we don't have is the eyebrows done. And I had a request recently for an eyebrow video. Well, I guess you're going to get part of it today because I'm going to do my eyebrows on camera because I told you I was going to do what I do before I turn on the camera. So that is part of it. To do my eyebrows, I use 3 things. Right now, I have many permutations, but this is what I'm doing right now. I'm going to go into Sumatra, which is a shadow in my Pan That palette. I'm also going to go to finish the inner brow with the Quo Brow palette. And I finished the whole thing with the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. And just for kicks, I'm going to start off with this one right here, which is the Highbrow from Benefit. And I'm going to put it right along the lower brow area. It's always easier to do it before I do my brow, as in makeup brow. And I don't really need to set it. I will just use a light eyeshadow afterwards to set it. I do use this product. I just am still trying to get into the habit of using it every time. And sometimes I get further into the brow routine, I'm thinking, I forgot to put it, and it can just kind of muck up my brow if I'm half done. Now, to define the shape of the brow, I like to use my double-ended brow tool from, this is from Quo, yeah. And Quo is a Canadian brand that is owned by Shoppers Drug Mart. Apparently, Shoppers Drug Mart owns 3 brands, actually. But the only makeup ones seemed to be Quo. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I have my arch defined. And I'm going to go into this color right here, which is Sumatra. And it is well loved. And what I do is I'm going to go into a little corner of it and mess it up a little bit. So I'm breaking off a tiny, tiny amount so that I can turn it into powder. I'm going to show you how much. There's not much disruption in the pan, but I have done some disruption and I'm going to use it all up. It's not a waste. It's just, I like to have more control, and turning it into a powder gives me more of that control. I'm going to go, and I always start off with the outside brow and work my way in. And also from low brow to higher up. So I'm going to go right at the arch, which is usually where I start. And it does look very dark to begin with, but it's going to get spread out a little bit. And so depending on the look I'm going for on a given day, I make the tail bigger or smaller, just depending on what I have in mind. And so I'm stroking into the high point of the brow, but I'm actually going in there and picking up product to bring further forward, because it never looks weird to have the high point of your brow have a deeper color. Okay, I'll keep on going. So you'll see that I'm going toward the bottom of the brow and working my way up. Okay, so that's looking pretty decent. I'm just going to grab a little bit more of Sumatra to help me finish the bottom of the inner brow. So I'm creating the line and then dragging up and out as I go. It's never all that great to have too much toward the middle or inner brow. Okay, and I'm going to do both sides and then you'll see how I finish it up. So I'm going back into that little powder mess that I have in the Sumatra tray. Going to go back and just make sure the brow hairs are the way I want them. Now back into that loaded brush, and again, right to the arch of the brow, and pulling down. Now this side, this brow is a little bit wider than that one, just by its nature, and I think that brows are, oh, I went a little too far. I just wiped off a little bit. I went a little bit too low. It's one of the things that's nice about powder. It wipes off pretty easily if you muck something up. I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the color. All right, and moving into the center of the brow, or center of the face, inner brow, the same way as I did on the other side. The line is at the bottom and I drag the color up. Okay, now you can see that I have most of my inner brow done, but you can tell that there's a little bit of patchiness. It's not quite finished. And I'm done with this one now, Sumatra. And I'm going to go into this Quo brow palette. And it's a nice palette. I have refilled the wax a few times, and this is a brow bone highlight, and then I've got a two-tone brow powder here and a little brush. And the little brush is fine. It's good for travel. But I do prefer a longer brush, and I have a few different ones of these. So this is an expensive brush. I think it's $25 or something like that, Canadian. But I also use this one, which is a $1, $1.50 brush from Essence. Does the same thing. It has a little fluff on it, but it does the same thing. So I use it as a lip brush, a brow brush. It's fine. And I never hesitate to use it during travel. So we don't need this one because we used the Sumatra, which I'm trying to finish up that Smashbox Exposure palette as a pen map palette. That's why I have given this one a break. But we will use this blonde color to just finish up the inner brow and just kind of mix it in with that Sumatra color. Okay, and I'll do the other side, same thing. So I don't need very much to finish up, but it does make a difference because when my inner eyebrows are too dark, it just looks like overkill. Okay, and I'm going to go back into my brow tool one last time just to comb through before I do any kind of brow setting. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. There's a tiny bit less here than the other one, but it's so close, I'm not concerned. And I wanted to mention, sorry, this brush is fantastic if you have gone overboard on any part of your brow. You can brush that color off and then wipe off this brush, go back in, wipe some color off, wipe off this brush. It has saved me many times. Okay, the clear brow gel is next. If you're wondering, I'm using a mirror that is just underneath you on the lower part of the ring light, and anybody else who is a YouTuber who may be watching, I highly recommend that mirror. It's fantastic. I just pat on the end. Okay. Those are my brows. If you were wondering, that is what it is. And the next thing that I do as well is put this Urban Decay Zero liner. If you've watched a number of videos, you know that I use this liner a lot. If you're squeamish about upper waterline liner application, look away. I'll let you know when it's done. Okay, all I do is, and I do sharpen it virtually every time. So it is sharpened. And I just make sure that I'm looking opposite of where I'm applying the liner. And both sides. And sometimes it gets a little bit wet, and I just rub off the tip of the liner on the back of my hand and keep going. Okay, that's pretty much it. So when I show up on camera, ready to do an eye look, I often have just at least one base blush. I have my bronzer, obviously my foundation or whatever I'm using as a foundation that day. Sometimes a lip product, sometimes not. That's it. That is what my preparation is like. So yeah, oh, and one more thing. I do sometimes use Rote Touch-Up. And that is what I would put on the edge of my hair color if I am kind of due for a hair appointment. I've got a little bit of my roots showing right now, but if they're not super bad right now, but when they do get a little bit worse, I do use this little bit that I have left of my Rita Hazen. This is the dark brown black for just covering up a little bit of gray here and there, especially on my temple. I find that that's where it shows the most. If you have any questions on what I did with my face in this video, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to field those questions. Or if you have recommendations for me too, I'm all ears. We can always learn from each other, and I would not hesitate to take some of your advice or things that you find that worked the best for you. I would love to hear. That's it for me in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and you will definitely see this face again if you're going to watch the next few videos on this channel. And with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it every single time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And I'll say the next few videos, there's some pretty exciting stuff, so you may not want to miss it. Thanks again. See you soon.